Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and today I am doing a midweek review. This is something that I don't really do. I tend to only do the reviews on Slashback Saturday. However, there was a movie that I recently got sent, and that is Dangerous Game. So as you can tell from the thumbnail, did this movie finally break the drought? The drought of, in my opinion, pretty terrible 80s slasher movies out of Australia. There's only a couple of 80s horror movies from Australia that I like, and I've yet to come across a slasher film from the 80s out of Australia that I actually like. So pretty disappointing, and this is a film that I was definitely wanting to check out. I've known about this movie for years for some reason, and I'm not really surprised to be honest, but this movie doesn't have a Australian local release over here, which doesn't really surprise me, because even if it's Australian, if it's pretty obscure, which this one definitely is, we often don't get releases for it. So yeah, I want to thank Jason, Horrific Nightmares JM, once again for sending me this DVD. I've been wanting it for years, and I was definitely pretty excited when he offered to pick me up a copy. So Jason, thanks a lot. So yeah, has this movie broken the drought for me? Is this finally a good 80s slasher movie out of Australia? Well, you're about to find out whether I think it is or not. So for you guys that aren't familiar with this one, Dangerous Game, it centers around a group of college students, and one of them is like a computer genius. He does a lot of computer hacking, and he ends up hacking into a department store, and basically he opens up the security door that the group of teenagers end up going there, and they end up getting stuck inside. So basically there's also a police officer within this movie that kind of gives one of the main teenagers a lot of trouble, and that happens pretty much throughout the entire film, pretty much right from when the movie starts to when the movie finishes, pretty much. Something happened to him within his policing career to do with the father of the teenager, so that is why he has beef. He doesn't particularly like this kid whatsoever, and he pretty much does whatever he can to try and get this poor teenager into trouble. So yeah, these teenagers end up arriving at the department store. The cop follows them and basically locks them inside and decides to go on a bit of a killing spree. So yeah, that is pretty much the plot line to this one. So now we'll see what I think of this one. So Dangerous Game, I've got to say, for the most part, I was really impressed with this. And has it broken the drought? I can say for the most part it has. However, there was one thing about this movie that was pretty disappointing. So yeah, I guess we'll start with what I really enjoyed about this film. I really enjoyed the characters. Now, they were really likable characters. The acting was a lot better than I was expecting. In fact, this movie, considering how sort of obscure and unknown it is, especially over here in Australia, the acting and just the overall production of the film, I was really impressed with. The acting was great. I loved all the characters. They weren't over the top. They felt really genuine with their character portrayals. They were all likable, and they were all really relatable. They were just typical 80s Aussie teenagers, basically. I also really liked the protagonist in this one, which was the police officer, and he kind of reminded me a lot of Frank Zito from the Maniac movies, because over the course of this film you definitely saw his character delve further and further into madness, which I really enjoyed that as well. So yeah, the killer in this one, the police officer, it's not a spoiler because you pretty much know that from the start. His character was really good as well. So I was super impressed with that. The location was cool. This was filmed in Sydney, and I don't live in Sydney myself, but I've been there. So I always like seeing filming locations that I've been to, or at least that I'm familiar with, so that was pretty cool. There was some good shots of Sydney, the Circular Quay and the Harbour Bridge. I also really liked the main location of this movie, which was set in a department store. I really liked the department store. It definitely had that 80s vibe to it, and I thought the lighting, especially throughout the movie within the department store, was really, really well done. Most of the movie was, or all the department scenes were done at night, but yeah, the lighting effects looked really, really good in this one. So yeah, I really enjoyed the location a lot. Now, we'll get on to, unfortunately, the movie's biggest issue, or at least the biggest complaint that I have with this film. So this essentially is a slasher. It plays out like every other slasher pretty much. You have a group of teenagers that are stuck somewhere, and they're getting stalked and essentially picked off one by a maniac killer. So this movie has that. It's essentially a slasher. However, and slight spoiler alert here, but this movie only has one kill. And it's not a very good kill either, but that's kind of besides the point. So with this group of characters, there was really no excuse for this movie not to have a higher body count, because in total there is 5 teenagers that are essentially stuck within this department store. So really there should have been a minimum of 4 kills within this film, and then you have the final person at the end. However, that wasn't the case, because only one person got killed. So that was really, really disappointing. But I will say though, there was some really good showdowns with pretty much each of the characters and the killer throughout the film. There was some really awesome action set pieces. There was a lot of explosions, some gunfire. There was even one particular scene in the department store when the killer was on a motorbike, which looked awesome. So there were a lot of really good action set pieces and sequences throughout the film, but it was really let down by the lack of kills. So I kind of wish that there had been 3 more kills at least within this film, and I wish the kills had been a lot more gorier. But other than that though, I will say I really enjoyed this movie. It definitely surpassed my expectations. And yeah, I will go as far to say is, I guess the Drought has been, this movie's definitely broken the drought for me in terms of an Australian 80s slasher. So while lack of kills, the rest of the movie I thought was really, really good, and overall I was really, really impressed with this, and it definitely has a lot of rewatchability for me. So yeah, if you like your slasher movies more focused on the storyline, the killer's storyline and character, and the group of victims, characters and storyline, I think you're really, really going to enjoy this one a lot. But just keep in mind that the slasher elements within this movie and the kill count are pretty much non-existent, which is a shame. But yeah, overall I would definitely recommend this movie. I really, really enjoyed it, apart from the lack of kills. So Jason, once again, thank you for sending me a copy of Dangerous Game. I've been wanting this movie for years, so it was awesome to finally be able to watch it and add this movie into my collection finally. So there you go guys, that's been my review, my thoughts on Dangerous Game. If you've seen this one, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, especially in regards to the kills. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.